Before I dive into tonight's message, I want to talk about Mr. T. Who's heard of Mr. T before? Okay, who has never heard of Mr. T? Oh man, you guys are missing. Oh, Miss Siobhan! Oh, Miss Siobhan, you're gonna get schooled today in some American culture, some 80s culture. So, Mr. T started out as a bouncer. He was born, and as a baby, he was a bouncer. No, just kidding. Okay, most people know him. He started out, as a young man, as a bouncer for nightclubs. And what would happen is people would get into fights, and he would pull them out, and they would get thrown out. But the thing is, after a big fight or a big brawl, there'd be like jewelry and stuff left behind. But these people were kicked out of the club, so they weren't able to go back into the club to get it. But Mr. T would be outside the club as the bouncer, and what he would do is he would wear the chains around his neck. So if someone lost their jewelry, he would just put it on, and if they wanted to, they could go up to the bouncer afterwards and be like, hey, can I get, that's my chain, can I get it back? If I lost a piece of jewelry and that man was wearing it, I think I would let him keep it. But anyway, that's how he started wearing all those chains. Sylvester Stallone found out about him. Does anyone know who Sylvester Stallone is? What he's known for?
Rocky.
I was going to see if she knew. That's okay. He was known as Rocky. Has anyone seen any of the Rocky movies or heard of the Rocky movies at least? It's kind of big in Philadelphia. Okay. Mr. T starred in the third movie opposite Sylvester Stallone, the third Rocky movie. It's weird how they listen. They don't read it. Anyway, he starred in Rocky 3. He ended up getting a role as B.A. Baracus in A-Team. Has anyone heard of A-Team? Okay, so they remade that movie about 10 years ago, but the A-Team was a series in the 80s that was really big. It was about a group of ex-military individuals who went on secret missions for people who needed help, basically. He ended up getting his own cartoon show, his own animated show. And Mr. T was the coach of a bunch of gymnasts that went around the world solving mysteries. I don't know why. Yes, it is kind of ridiculous. It's kind of like a Scooby-Doo style type thing. Okay? Growing up, I really liked Mr. T. Mr. T was big, right before I grew up. I was born in 1984. Mr. T was doing most of his stuff in the early 80s, and then he sort of took a break in the 90s. But as a kid, his stuff still came on, and I knew about it. He was this tough guy who you would never want to get into a fight with, and he had his own unique style. The thing about Mr. T, though, was even though he was tough, he always wanted to do the right thing. He was all about inspiring kids to do the right thing, too. So he would frequently, at the end of his animated show, he would actually come on and talk about giving respect, or how to play nice with others, not bullying, or even hygiene, stuff like this.
Keep your body clean. Bad hygiene just ain't cool. Bathe or shower every day. No one loves a smelly fool.
For more tea wisdom, watch I Pity the Fool, Wednesday nights at 10, only on TV Land.
So he was always making TV shows, doing all sorts of things, but he would always have these little messages about how to live right and how to do things right. He even made shows and music videos to try to get kids to learn about character and getting along. Now, what I'm about to show you is a blast from the past. I also want to let you know that not everyone from the 80s is dressed like this. This is going to be super absurd, but I also encourage you to listen to the lyrics because they're just golden. Okay. Okay, it is super cringy. Are you ready?
No.
Well, you couldn't be more than 5.
You're so fat they have to jack you up to take off your shoes.
Yeah, well, you're so skinny your eyes are in single file.
Well, you're so ugly your ears stick out to get away from your face.
Well, your mama is
Hold it, wait a minute. Don't bring anyone mother into this. She ain't here. If it wasn't for your mother, you wouldn't be here. So remember, when you put down one mother, you put down mothers all over the world.
Treat her right, treat your mother right. Treat her right, treat her right. Treat her right, treat your mother right. Treat her right, treat her right.
Mother, there is no other. Mother, right. M is for the moan and the miserable groan from the pain that she felt when I was born. O is for the oven with the burning heat, where she stood making sure I had something to eat. T is for the time that she stayed up night and took my temperature when I wasn't feeling right. H is for the hard-earned money she spent to keep clothes on my back and try to pay the rent. E is every wrinkle I put on her face and every worry that I caused when I stayed out late. The last letter R is that she taught me respect, and for the room up in heaven that I know she'll get. Mother, there is no other like mother, so treat her right. Mother, I'll always love her. My mother, so treat her right, treat her right.
Treat her right, treat your mother right. Treat her right, treat her right.
My mother, so treat her right, treat her right.
Do you think I should get a pair of those camo shorts and those socks that come up to here? Oh, look good.
No, please.
Some of you are going to be going home and you're going to be like, treat your mother right. And you're like, it's going to be stuck, my mother. Okay. So, M is for the groan,
Why
that
did you do
miserable
that to
moan.
us?
Huh?
Why did you do that to us?
Huh? Because I'm showing you history. It's important and it's vital. Okay? Mr. T was constantly giving advice. He had a saying that actually started in Rocky 3 that ended up in like almost all his TV shows and videos. Does anyone know what that saying is? Any of the young people?
Well, I never watched a Rocky movie, so I don't even know.
You don't know? Okay, well, this is what it is.
I pity the fool.
Okay, it was, I pity the fool.
You pee the fool.
I pity the fool.
I pity the fool. Okay, what Mr. T did is he would call out foolish behavior. He didn't want people to be fools. If someone wanted to get in a fight with him, he would pity that fool. If someone wanted to do drugs or drop out of school, he would pity that fool. They're being foolish, and he has pity on them. Okay, this brings us to the new series that we're going to be starting tonight called Pity the Fool, Why Wisdom Matters. And what we're going to be doing is over the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about wisdom, how not to be fools. How do we become wise? How should we live our lives so that we aren't foolish? Today, there are so many sources of information out there. Who's heard of misinformation? Oh, you guys probably heard a lot about misinformation a lot recently, right? It can be not hard to know who to trust to get wisdom. Where do you go to? Who do you go to? Who can you trust? In the book of Proverbs, the author writes in the same way that a father would address his son. And what he wants to do is he wants to give him life advice, basically saying, this is wisdom to help guide you through life, to navigate life's challenges. And the first 10 chapters, the father personifies wisdom and foolishness, which means that he kind of makes wisdom and foolishness as people. He gives them human traits. And he tells his son that wisdom and foolishness are like two women. One of them is like a prostitute, not caring about commitment, sleeping around. She's godless and immoral. There are times that what she says may appear sweet, but it actually leads to death. That is what folly and foolishness is. And then there's another woman. There's Lady Wisdom, whom the father urges the son to pursue. He says that this wisdom is wholesome. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing that we desire would ever compare to her. Basically saying that if we desire wisdom, that is more than anything else, worth more than anything else than we could ever desire in life, whatever that might be. The writer of Proverbs is saying that if we embrace wisdom, we will be blessed. In the same way that a young man would be blessed by pursuing a righteous woman, he will be blessed by pursuing wisdom. But if he pursues foolishness, it will be the same as pursuing a woman who sleeps around and has no morals, which will end in pain, despair, and possibly even death. The father was telling his son that he can't just figure out things on his own, and it's the same for us. So tonight we're starting off our series with this idea, and that is this: you are not the smartest person you know. You are not the smartest person you know, so you shouldn't live like that. If we had to figure out everything on our own, we would be completely lost. This is why we need parents to teach us how to care for ourselves. Otherwise, it would be like, wham, and the baby is just born, and it's like, peace, see you later, and you walk away. Would that ever work? No, we need to take care of the baby. And then as the baby gets older, The baby needs to be told what to do, how to live life, how to take care of itself as it gets older and grows into a man or a woman. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at different people and who they turn to for advice. We're going to look at someone in the Bible who just became king and the different kinds of advice that he received. This is found in 1 Kings chapter 12, verses 1 through 13. And we're going to hear about Rehoboam and Jeroboam.
Oh, I learned a story just in Bible last week.
Oh, so this should be familiar for you. Okay. So Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had gone there to make him king. When Jeroboam, son of Nebat, heard this, he returned from Egypt. So they sent for Jeroboam, and he and the whole assembly of Israel went to Rehoboam and said to him. So Jeroboam is sort of sent on behalf of the people to go to talk to this new king. And this is what he says. He says, your father, the previous king, your father put a heavy burden on us, but now lighten the harsh labor and the heavy burden he put on us, and we will serve you. So listen, king, I know you're new. Could you do us a favor? Your dad was really hard on us. And so what we're asking you to do is just to lighten our load a little bit. If you lighten our load, we will serve you. We will serve you completely. So Rehoboam answered, he says, listen, I want you to go away for 3 days and then come back to me. So the people went away. Then King Rehoboam consulted the elders who had served his father Solomon during his lifetime. And this is what he asked. He said, how would you advise me to answer these people? They replied, if today you will be a servant to these people and serve them and give them a favorable answer, they will always be your servants. If you tell them what they want to hear, if you treat them right, then they will follow you no matter what. But Rehoboam rejected the advice the elders gave him and consulted the young men who had grown up with him and were serving him. He basically turned to his friends and he's like, hey guys, what do you think that we should do? And he asked them, what is your advice? How should we answer these people who say to me, lighten the burden that your father put on us? The young men who had grown up with him replied, these people have said to us, your father put a heavy burden on us, but make our burden lighter. Now tell them, my little finger is thicker than my father's waist. My father laid on you a heavy burden? I will make it even heavier. My father whipped you with whips? I will whip you with scorpions. 3 days later, Jeroboam and all the people returned to Rehoboam as the king had said, come back to me in 3 days. The king answered the people harshly. Rejecting the advice given him by the elders, he followed the advice of the young men and his friends and said, my father made your burden heavy. I will make it even heavier. My father whipped you with whips. I will whip you with scorpions. I wonder what that would look like a whip made out of scorpions. That would not be... If I was the guy whipping, I would not like that job either, because that would just be terrifying to me. Like, who puts the scorpions on the whip? I don't know. Anyway, Rehoboam was like, listen, you think you had it hard before? You're going to see what hard is now. And he wanted to make it hard for them. What happened was the people, what they basically did, similar to people playing on the playground, they're like, well, I'm going to take my ball, and I'm going to leave, and I'm going to go away. And the people left, and they said, we're not going to follow you anymore. In fact, Jeroboam, we want you to be our king. And we'll just come over here, and this will be our area. Rehoboam, whatever, you're over there, it's your thing. And most of the kingdom left Rehoboam. The kingdom of Israel actually split because of this. All because Rehoboam listened to the wrong people and followed bad advice. So the question for us is this: what are we supposed to do? If we aren't the smartest person that we know, how do we choose where to get advice? What can we learn from this story about Rehoboam? Where should we get our wisdom from? How do we not become fools because we don't want Mr. T to pity us? So we're going to look at 3 different things tonight on who to go to for advice. And the first thing that we need to look for in someone that we go to for advice, and you guys will get handouts at the end that actually has all these things on it, so if you forget, don't worry. But the first thing that you need to do is you need to find someone who shares your passion for God. You see, there's a difference between the wisdom of man and the wisdom of God. I've seen some unbelievably intelligent, brilliant people who are downright idiots because they refuse to follow God. And so the first thing that we need to seek in searching someone who has wisdom is someone who shares our passion for God. Now, I want to point out that this says they share your passion for God. That means multiple. It's plural. There is wisdom in the counsel of many. So whenever you're seeking wisdom from someone on how to live your life and what you should do, it's good to seek out wisdom from people, not just one person, but from people who share your passion for God. That's the very first thing that you need to look for. The second thing is this. You want to find someone who has been where you want to be. If you're going water skiing for the first time, why would you go to your friend who has never been water skiing before and go, hey, listen, I'm just wondering, what do you think I should do? That would be the dumbest thing in the world to do. Okay? It's the same thing when you ask your peers for advice on a regular basis about anything in life that they haven't gone through before. I hear people, they say, well, I asked my friend what they think I should do about this argument I'm in with this other friend. I'm like, why are you asking them? Maybe it would be good for you to ask someone who has been where you want to be. You want to ask an expert, someone who has done these things before. If you want to have a successful marriage, you talk to the couple that's been married for 30 years. Not to your friends who have been going out for 3 months. If you want to make a lot of money, you read books written by millionaires who started out with nothing. If you want to be successful, you talk to people who are already successful, not people who have ideas on what may or may not work. You'd be like, yeah, I got plans, I'm going to do this, and they might be a real go-getter, but if they haven't done anything, then they're really not the best person to get advice from. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not listening to you because you haven't done anything. No, but don't pick them as your mentor. Don't pick them as the person that you go and get wisdom from. When we look at Rehoboam, he was talking to his friends. How much life had they lived? They've lived the same amount of life as he has. Had they ruled nations before? Had they done anything? No. But the elders, they grew up with dad, and they saw it, and they're like, listen, looking at everything, we really think it would be good if you actually went easier on the people. Just, you should listen to us. And if he did, then he wouldn't have been in a situation where over half the kingdom left him. If you want to be successful, talk to people who have been where you want to be. Not people who haven't been anywhere near that. And the last one that we have is this. Find someone who has nothing to lose by being honest with you. Nothing to lose by being honest with you. Who's seen the show American Idol? I know it's been, I think, a few years since it's been on. Is it still on? I don't know. Okay, gotcha. They have The Voice and Masked Singer and all that stuff now. But anyway, I have to be honest, I really don't like American Idol that much. Oh, thank you, honey. I don't know what happened there. I don't like American Idol that much. It's not really my kind of show. But there is one part of American Idol that I do like. Every season there was one show, and it was the episode where they show all the bad people trying out. And people would get up and they would sing probably about as good as I can sing. And it was atrocious, and it was kind of fun to watch. Except this. The people got up there, and afterwards they were interviewed. And this is the sort of things that they said. Okay? Because I can't help but ask the question, how did you not know that you were that bad? Okay? You knew that you were that bad, right? And when these people are interviewed, this is what they said. This is what everyone tells them. My friend told me I sounded amazing. My boyfriend says I have the perfect voice. Yeah, I bet he did, because he wouldn't be your boyfriend. He's like, honey, you can't sing. Okay? My agent, who I paid up front before I get paid anything, told me that I had a unique talent and a unique voice. All these people were lied to. Why? Because the people that they were getting advice from had something to gain from them. Ask people who don't think like you. Ask people who won't feel bad about telling you that you aren't good enough for something. Ask people who aren't looking to gain off your successes. When we look at Rehoboam, his friends were like, hey, our friend just became king. If he is hard on the people and gets them to bring in tons of stuff, then we can get that stuff and we can just lay back. It'll be so easy for us. Hey, Rehoboam, lay hard on them. Be hard on them. Why? Because they were looking to gain stuff for themselves. They were rubbing their hands together with greed, thinking that all that they could cash in on with the great taxes that he was going to get from the people. So look for people who aren't looking to gain stuff from your successes. Look for people who want you to succeed just to see you succeed. A success for them is you succeeding, and so they want what's best for you. And maybe it's not this path that you're going down as much as you might want it, as much as it could help them out. They're like, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if that's the best thing for you. In James chapter 1, verse 5, it says this: if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. I want to encourage you all to be reminded of the fact that you are not the smartest person that you know. Now, I'm not calling you stupid. I'm not calling you dumb. I'm saying that there are people who have been where you want to be. There are people who've lived through everything that you've gone through right now, and they can give you wisdom so that you can avoid some of the pains, some of the hardships that could come your way, and you could just sidestep them by listening to someone who has been where you want to be. For those of you who have careers or things that you want to do in your life, I encourage you, find someone who has been where you want to be. Reach out to them. Asking someone who thinks that they might have an idea is the dumbest thing in the world to do. Don't act like, well, I think I have a good idea. My first question whenever I ask someone, what do you want to do and where you're going is, well, who have you talked to? What have you looked to? What sources have you gone to try to find out more information about what you want to do with your life? Listen to this successful story about Moses getting wisdom. This is found in Exodus 18. The next day, Moses took his seat to serve as judge for the people, and they stood around him from morning till evening. When his father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he said, "What is this you're doing for the people? Why do you alone sit as judge while all these people stand around you from morning till evening?" Moses answered him, "Because the people come to me to seek God's will. Whenever they have a dispute, it is brought to me, and I decide between the parties and inform them of God's decrees and instructions." So Moses is acting as a judge. The people are coming in and they're like, "Hey, I got a problem. I need advice. Can you help me out there? My neighbor and I, we're having a dispute. Moses, can you fix this for us? Please, we need your help here." And so Moses stands around, he listens to it and takes care of it, says, "This is what you should do." Okay, the next case comes in and they do it. And he's doing this from morning till evening, all day long. Moses' father-in-law replied, he says, "What you are doing is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. Listen now to me, and I will give you some advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God and bring their disputes to him. Teach them his decrees and instructions and show them the way they are to live and how they are to behave. But select capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Have them serve as judges for the people at all times, but have them bring every difficult case to you. The simple cases they can decide themselves. That will make your load lighter because they will share it with you. If you do this and God so commands, you will be able to stand the strain and all these people will go home satisfied." So what Moses' father-in-law says is this: listen, you need to teach wisdom and do things wisely, but then the next thing you need to do is you need to appoint people under you. You need to appoint people that can be judges instead of you. So, and do it over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. So that if there's a dispute between these people, well, they go to this person. And then if it's too difficult, it goes to them. And then if it's too difficult, it goes to them. And if it's too difficult, it goes to them. And then if it's absolutely too difficult, then it'll go to Moses. This means that Moses isn't dealing with these issues all day long. He might get one or two things a day that he has to deal with that everyone else wasn't able to deal with. This is one reason why in the church, we as pastors work on creating leaders that can go out and do other things. This is why, for me, I want to be training up you guys to be disciples so that as younger people come to youth group and the youth group grows and we get 30, 40, 50, 60 people, then I can be like, hey, I'm not able to meet with you this week. Hey, maybe one of the 9th, 10th, or 11th graders can meet with the 6th or 7th grader to walk through some discipleship stuff. That's wisdom. I can't do it on my own. And so this is what Moses is given. And by the way, Moses was dealing with around 1 million people. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. He chose capable men from all Israel and made them leaders of the people, officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They served as judges for the people at all times. The difficult cases they brought to Moses, but the simple ones they decided themselves. So Moses listened to someone who, guess what, was a lot older than him, who's been around a bit. And he took that wisdom and he put it into practice, and it really, really helped him. So what I want to encourage you guys, and this is not an insult, because I have to say it to myself all the time too. Whenever I'm looking for a situation, whenever I have a problem, and I go, why am I struggling with this? Sometimes I just need to step back and go, maybe someone's gone through this before. I'm not the smartest person I know. I need to go find someone who's smarter than me, who's been where I want to be, who shares my same passion for God, and who has nothing to lose by being honest with me. So I encourage you guys, don't live like the smartest person you know. Admit that that you don't know everything. Use the wisdom of others to make wise choices. God has given you many other people in your life that you can learn from. So go find someone who shares the same passion for God that you do. By the way, this means that some of you might need to increase your own passion for God. Find someone who has been where you want to be and done what you want to do, and find someone who has nothing to lose by being honest with you.
I'm Peter Fool. I'm Peter Fool. I'm Peter Fool.